here we are, another week at the podcast, and this week we're going to be talking more about the holidays, all the exciting and maybe not so exciting things, and some of the really messed up things that happen around the world for the holidays. So sit back and relax and enjoy another episode of It Would Seem As Though, Christmas Edition.
It would seem as though.
Oh, hi. It's me.
Good morning. Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy
all
Hanukkah.
The things. Happy Hanukkah. Kwanzaa this year actually falls on my daughter's birthday.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was like, what is that noise I bring? Oh, it's the dishwasher.
In our studio.
In our very expensive, expansive studio.
Well, girl, if this is a studio, it is an
That is
expensive
true.
studio.
If this was a studio, it would be very, very expensive.
Yeah, right.
Instead of just a little, hole in the wall somewhere. So, it's Christmas time.
So it's time to continue our conversation
Yeah.
about Christmas time.
Well, first of all, I need to apologize for last week's shit show, which was 100% my fault. Sorry about it.
usual.
Per usual. Well, it's always my fault because I'm the one at the controls. All Annika does is, conversing
Show
with
up.
us at a table. She shows up, usually high as a kite, but she shows up. She shows up, so she's got to get that one in there. She shows up.
You just told
And that
my
has happened.
secret. My one secret of how I'm a good communicator is the fact that I just,
You just
stay stoned.
get loaded and come on over, and you're like,
that makes it sound like I got wasted. I got drunk. I got real drunk and came over.
You got your red Solo cup. And,
Yeah.
all the things.
So it's been good times.
Yeah. There was something actually I was going to talk about. Oh, other than me fucking up. I did say in last week's pod I was going to edit that shit out, and I tried. And I went back to use the one and only time I've ever edited, I went to use the same software.
Yeah.
And the software was like, oh, bitch, no, you've had us for 30 years. You got to start paying to use this.
And you said...
And I'm like, okay. And so I paid the little whatever amount. But it was like, oh, no, these tools are all new and different. Now we're going to... I was like, oh, God.
I hate my
And so, yeah.
So you just have like 30 seconds of bullshit happening.
At least. It feels like 6 minutes because I listened to it and I'm like, that is the longest mess of nonsense of coughing and getting a glass of water
Shit
and
talking.
talking. Oh, God. Anyway.
Thank God we didn't say anything too inappropriate.
I know. Thank goodness.
I would never.
Wait, what?
I know. I'm trying to lie.
Also, I have, big doings going on because it is the week of Christmas. It will be, next time we talk to you, will be post-Christmas.
Post-Christmas.
Post-Christmas. Post-Kwanzaa, all the things. Post-Hanukkah.
Yeah.
I know there's like a million holidays that happen around this time of year.
Yeah.
And one of the things that just frustrated me so bad the other day, I was talking to someone because they were... I'm just going to say it. Someone was being super, self-righteous about the whole, well, I taught my children that this is actually Jesus' birthday, and that's what really matters. And so Jesus should be the one we focus on. And I was all, ugh.
Yeah.
And I said, well, technically, this was a pagan holiday. And the Christians were all like, oh, let's usurp this holiday so that we can, try to get more of those horrible pagans to follow Christianity.
Them devil worshippers.
Yeah. And she was like, well, that's your opinion. No, ma'am, it's not an opinion.
That's a historical fact.
It's actually a fact. It's not an opinion.
What's funny to me...
And Jesus, historians do believe Jesus did exist. Sure. But they believe he was born in the spring.
Right. Well, because...
Not at Christmas.
Right. One thing I think is very funny is that, the whole... Over the past decade plus, there's always been the conversation about the war on Christmas. And often it involves Starbucks for some reason, and the fact that their cups aren't Christ-like enough.
They're horrible because, one year their cups were just red.
I know. How dare we? Anyway.
How is that a war on Christmas, though? Because usually their cups, might have some snowflakes. How does that have to do with Christmas or Christianity? Yeah. That's about the weather.
Well, and that's what's funny to me, too, is that there's some war on Christmas, but early Puritans, when they moved to the United States, hated Christmas. They thought it was debauchery and thought it was stupid. Puritans, they didn't like it. They didn't celebrate it. And there's a new show you can watch on Hulu. It's an FX show called Kindred.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's by Octavia Butler, sci-fi writer, a black woman. Amazing. Anyway, but part of it is, like, back in time. I think it's like 1817, 1820.
Okay.
But the mother of the house, and this is in the South in Plantation, she was going to throw a Christmas party. And she says, I know it's silly because no one celebrates Christmas, but I thought we could use a little joy and cheer. And I'm like, what an interesting time. And now we live in 2022, where every Karen with an ugly bob thinks that there's some fucking war on Christmas because Starbucks has all red cups. Or someone says happy holidays. And I want to make something very clear, you entitled bitches. The fact that you think someone should say Merry Christmas to you opposed to Happy Holidays, they could tell you to go fuck yourself. That seems like a more accurate thing they should say to you.
Well, and that's a nice blanket statement. Go fuck yourself.
Well, and honestly,
it does encapsulate everyone.
Because you are entitled, and you're making yourself the center of every conversation because you're assuming that every family, one, is going to believe in Christ and your God and celebrate the holidays you do. But you have this like urge to have to say something when someone doesn't wish you a Merry Christmas. Like, are you wishing your Jewish friends a Happy Hanukkah? Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, because they, as Jews, need to just get the fuck over themselves and wish you Merry Christmas.
Right. Or like, are you wishing...
Or as atheists.
Are you wishing, like any pagan people, like a Merry...
Yule.
Yeah, a Yule or a solstice. Like, are you doing any of that? That's never happening. And so you're just entitled. You're entitled and want what you want. And the fact that things change makes you uncomfortable. And instead of...
Because change is bad.
Well, and girl, instead of sitting in your discomfort, you're just lashing out because you're mad. But it's the holidays, bitch. No matter what religion you're celebrating, this isn't a time of mourning or anger.
Right.
This is supposed to be a time of celebration and joy and cheer, no matter what, right? Like, and the whole Christmas tree tradition is bringing light inside, bringing nature inside in the time of death.
But it's also, that is part of the pagan ritual.
Right. But that's what another thing Christians usurped and turned it into like a Christian, it's Christmas, we bring a tree inside. But that literally started to bring greenery inside, right? So, because everything was dying. And then you decorated it to bring joy. Like, it was a festive time for a purpose. Because it was the longest nighttime. You know what I mean? The 21st winter solstice is like the longest night, essentially.
Right.
So
and the part of the whole Christians usurping solstice and turning it into Christmas is the whole idea of solstice is it's the return of the sun.
Yeah.
Because it is the longest night, and then the next day it starts getting lighter and lighter a little bit each day. And so how appropriate that they, sold that to be like, oh, it's the son of God, it's the return of the son of... Really? Really? No.
Love that.
No. I mean, it's cute. It's obviously worked for however many hundreds of years, and that's lovely and good for you. But
here's the thing,
let's
too.
be real.
And if Jesus existed today, bitch, he would hate all of you. Jesus would not he'd be at your home, bitch, flipping tables, being like, why you got so money? Why are you not housing...
What is he, a real housewife?
Jesus flipped the tables in the temple when the money taxing something happened. I can't remember.
It was all of the money changers in the temple.
Right.
He came in and they were all like doing money changing instead of worshiping like they were supposed to, and he was all, oh no, bitch. No, bitch.
And then somehow Christian...
Because I can just picture Jesus walking and go, really, bitch?
It's just into people's Christmas dinner. He's just like, fuck this shit, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Because that's the real problem, is that there are very few people that I think that I've met who identify as a Christian that would live the tenets of Jesus. You know what I mean? That would follow that.
Well, so many of these people who call themselves Christians are anything but.
Yes, girl.
And it's like, they would be the ones who are going, that brown man, I don't care who he is. Why is he walking in my neighborhood? You better call the police. I saw him walking around.
Well, and wouldn't it be funny if Jesus did come back and white people were just calling the police on Jesus, being like, there's a brown man? They would be, girl.
Because anytime there's a brown man in their neighborhood that they don't know... or it doesn't work for them, they're all like, why are you in my neighborhood? How'd you get into my neighborhood? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, but that man who y'all worship and say this is all about was a brown man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the things he did were, I mean, okay.
And technically, he was a homeless brown man because he was, a drifter or a traveler.
Yeah. So I just feel like Jesus did some things. Jesus. Through... like whatever the lore is, right? All the things he did, he lived by example, right? He did the action, wanting you to be a better person. And Christians were all, money, you're right. Fuck everyone else, you're right. Money, and we hate everyone who's not a Christian. Somehow Jesus is like, what
I'm sorry. I think through most of the message, they stuck their fingers in their ears and were like,
it's a game of telephone, girl. It's like someone passing a story down, but for centuries. So it's not a game of telephone around our dinner table. It's a game of telephone throughout the fucking centuries. And everyone was like, Jesus was a squid with 3 brown eyes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Somehow it just gets more and more convoluted.
Right, and just ridiculous. Right. Yep. Well, because somehow we got to the Jesus was a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. I mean, like, wow.
Okay. On my wall, because, you know, your mother, my grandmother, did those oil paintings. The pastel paintings 150 years ago. Mm-hmm. And she did 3 of them. And there's only one that I have, but the one I wanted was Black Jesus. She did three portraits of Jesus, all very similar, right? One was Black Jesus, what Jesus would have actually looked like. One is white Jesus, who's blonde with blue eyes.
Blonde, though, like blonde.
Like Viking. He looks like a little Viking. Like his wife's name is Hildegard. Do you know what I mean? And then there's
Christ,
right? And then there's Ginger Jesus with green eyes, which kills me. And I want you to know. So in my house is very. I have a black wall. I have a red wall. There's like bones and witchy shit everywhere. And then I have this framed picture of white Jesus with blonde hair and blue eyes on my wall. And people are like, "Who is that?" And one of my roommate's friend came over the other day and said, "Oh, I just thought that was like a portrait of your dad."
You're like, this is my Nordic ancestor.
Yeah, my dad. This was before the time of actual photographs. My dad just sat for a fucking oil painting.
Because he is that old.
Mm-hmm. It was funny though. But yeah, so there's white Jesus on my wall.
Yeah,
he's below like my picture of Satan. So he knows his place.
Right.
He knows his place. That
seems
white
right.
man. Yep.
So one of the things, you know, that we were going to talk about today is kind of some of our own Christmas memories, good and bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually start with one that is one of my treasured Christmas memories. Okay. Because I do have some. Okay. I grew up, as many of you know, because we talk about it all the time, I grew up very, very poor.
Yeah.
Single mom, 6 kids. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, and I still have that awful cough that won't go away. She was married, but my stepfather was a deadbeat, and so he would disappear for weeks, months, whatever,
years,
and not give her any money. And so often we had nothing. Well, there was this one Christmas. We lived out like 6 miles out of town, so we're out in the country, and our Christmas tree, though it was lovely, was completely barren. There was nothing underneath. And we are not those people that don't put anything under until Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. We would, like as you wrap things, you put them under the tree. But we didn't have any gifts. We didn't have anything. And so I was pretty sure, and I'm probably 7, pretty sure it's going to be a pretty bleak Christmas. But I knew the reality that we were very poor, that my stepfather was once again gone. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Anyway, so Christmas morning, I get up, and underneath the tree is just full of presents. And I'm like, what? Now, half of the presents were gifts that my mother made for us, like pajamas and stuff, that she had all handmade all of them. And like, I think she made us all pajamas and like a stuffed animal.
Cute, okay.
But there was also things on there that were not made by my mother, and I'm all, what? And so that was one of those things that really just confirmed Santa Claus for me. Because I was like, there was nothing there yesterday. And now it doesn't look like the saddest Christmas tree ever.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, it just really felt magical. And one of the things I learned recently is that magical thinking is crucial for children's development. Yeah. And I know people who are like, I would never teach my children about that Santa Claus was real, because then you're just teaching your children, you lied to them, whatever. It's like, no. It's magical thinking. It helps them actually to develop a sense of anything is possible.
Yes.
You know?
Well, and I think that more people should believe in Santa. I think we should teach children and let them believe it longer, because I think that's what happens in adulthood is a lot of people lose their imagination. They don't see the magic in the world anymore. And like, girl, there's magic everywhere. How are we sacks of meat and we run it at randomly 100 degrees? Like, why? Why does that happen? And like, why are we, doesn't make any sense to me. That's magic to me, girl. I know it's like biology, but why does it all happen? What's that spark that gives us life, right? Just basic shit. There's magic everywhere. So I think that teaching children about whatever your lore is, whether it's Santa and like the Tooth Fairy and whatever, I think that's interesting. I do think the Tooth Fairy is kind of the most occult thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's funny. I never thought of it that way until you brought that up. That it's like somebody coming to your house and giving you money for bones.
Yeah, and not just anybody. A fairy. I don't know if you read any mythology in any culture. The Fae are not good people. They, like, steal you, or they make, like, tricky bargains with you and shit. They're not, like, you shouldn't make deals with them. So the fact that you're giving them your bones and they're giving you money sounds like a no-go to me, dog. But
well, I know in lots of traditions and lots of cultures, you don't let anybody else have any part of you because then they have some power over you. Yeah. So, yeah, Tooth Fairy. I never, like I said, I never thought of that until you brought that up. I was like, oh.
And do you know what's my favorite, though? Is now at my house I have a bag of children's teeth.
A little creepy.
Listen. That's not the only creepy thing in my house.
No, that's true. You have roommates.
It's true. It's very true. You know, one of my favorite stories growing about Christmas is... So a lot of my stories, too, I feel like my memories of Christmas are, like, patchwork, right? It feels like when you watch a montage of your favorite holiday or your favorite TV show and you just watch the Christmas episodes, you're like, I don't know what season that was, but I remember this part, you know? That's how it feels to me. And so there are moments and, like, feelings and nostalgia that slap me in the fucking face, but there's one specifically where I was young, probably 7 or 8, and my biological father and my stepmother, it was actually, like, one of the good Christmases that I remember, where, like, there were very few presents under the tree, and then in the morning there was all full. But the kicker was, we all slept in the living room. Like, me and my 2 sisters slept in the living room, and the fact that we slept so hard and through, like, Santa coming, really, really did so much, because I was like, I was there, and he's tricky, right? But not only that, woke up, saw the lights, saw the presents stoked, and then we hear something, and there was a kennel with 3 Cocker Spaniel puppies, one for each of us for Christmas. And that, to me, as like a 7 or 8-year-old kid, I was like, what? Like, Santa, I wanted a dog so bad, and Santa brought us puppies. Like,
oh,
yeah, that to me, I was like, this is legit.
What happened to those dogs?
Girl, I don't. Why are you asking me questions? You don't want the answers to that.
I don't want the answer to that.
I also don't know. You know what I mean? Because that was often.
Well, because he's not an animal person.
No,
he would get them and then never treat them well.
My biological father's idea of owning a dog is having the dog never come inside and live outside chained up, or in like a dog run that he's like, it's like ramshackled and he's just like throwing patchwork shit on it to make it like have a cover.
Well, and then there's us who was like, you know, our animals lay on the furniture,
on your bed,
lay on the beds.
Oh yeah,
and they're all like, "Why are you in my space?
Your dogs can't be outside too long." And they're all, "Excuse me."
God, so funny. They are so spoiled. They'll like, especially Mika, our pit bull. If she's outside more than 2 minutes, she's at the door just like
tapping,
dancing and like begging to get in. It's like, it's cold and scary out here. Be outside. I totally relate.
Yeah,
I don't want to be outside either.
Mika and I had a conversation about this today. I asked her, "You've been watching the news too, girl?" Outside life is scary.
Like, outside is bad.
Yeah, bad news bears. It's not about it. But yeah, so that was cute.
We just took a little break so I could make sure that my dogs were. Now I started speaking of dogs, and I was like, I bet my dogs aren't even in their beds.
Well, they were mostly in their beds.
Right, they were napping.
But
if they even heard the slightest noise, they'd have been out here barking so loud that it would have been like, okay.
And we're like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome these 3 bitches to the stage.
Welcome our special guests, 3 old dogs.
Yep. I know.
So, I was looking at crazy holiday things today. And it was like, what is the thing? 7 of the 7 most terrifying Christmas traditions around the world. Now, number 1, you know, we talked about it. Number 1 is Krampus.
Krampus. Yep.
Now, Krampus is Austria, Slovenia, Croatia, Northern Italy. In many European countries, St. Nicholas has companions who act as a negative counterpart.
Love that.
Yeah. Saint Nick is the benevolent good cop. You do not want to meet bad cop.
I mean, I do.
I know you kind of do.
I do.
Didn't you have a picture with Krampus?
Yes, I do.
One of the creepiest Christmas pictures I've ever seen. Love it. One particular is Krampus. Demonic half-goat monster with horns and a long tongue drags chains behind him and walks and rattles them ominously.
Yes,
Carries
Daddy.
a birch whip. A birch to whip bad children. Or a basket or a sack to kidnap them.
Oh, you know what? Take me home. I'm about it.
Frau Perchta.
Okay.
Frau Perchta is a witch
From where?
who comes to see if you've been naughty or nice, and then she slits the bellies of bad children and stuffs their corpses with straw. It's like-
I see, and I know in the car we were talking about this because we went to Costco this morning, so we've already been together for hours. Anyway,
right.
but yeah, you're like, they're terrifying, and I'm like, girl, I love it. Like, I think I wish I would have learned a little more about that. You know, about
A little balance.
yeah, because that's what I need is just a little more balance.
In Wales, there's one called Mari Lwyd. Lwyd.
Okay.
Imagine, if you will, it's New Year's Eve. You're a small Welsh child. You hear a knock on the door, and you open it, and looming over you is a creature with a horse's skull,
I knew it.
wearing a long billowing cloak, and trailed by people chanting. In the horse's eye cavities are fake eyeballs, its mouth slightly ajar, and you're paralyzed with terror.
You know, it sounds fun.
As you wet yourself and the adults around you wish each other Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Gryla and the Yule Cat. Do you know about Gryla?
From Iceland. Yes,
Yeah,
girl.
Iceland. Gryla is a giant ochre who lives in a cave and during Christmas emerges to hunt for children.
Well, and if you watch the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, she's in it because the aunties call her one day, and she brings her Yule boys, the Yule lads, which are like her little, the Yule lads and the Yule boys and the Yule cat.
Has 13 troll children, large adult sons,
and then she has the Yule
and
cat.
the Yule Cat.
Yeah, that like work for her.
And then you see the Yule Cat, you think, oh, sweet, a little kitty.
Nor.
It's going to sit on your lap and you can pet. No.
It's like a giant vicious cat that like eats you.
Like Satan walking among us is a roaring lion
Yeah.
who might devour, children.
Why not? I like that it doesn't even say good or bad. It just says just whatever.
Children.
Just children.
It's peering into the lighted windows of children's bedroom.
I'm about it.
Oh, this is the one I was telling you about. That the only way to keep yourself safe from the Yule Cat is if you've been good to show him you're good that you got clothes for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because if you were bad, you didn't get new clothes.
Got it.
So you can try to maybe trick them with your used clothes that are still in good condition.
Yeah, that's
But
so
probably
funny
not.
to me.
Yule Cat's going to still eat you.
I see. I like that tradition other than coal. Coal never went anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one ever got coal, so no kids were actually bad, which means that what? Then everyone's good, which means nobody's good. Like, ugh, I hated it. I hated the whole coal thing. I would much rather a cat try and eat me.
So Hans Trapp, that's Alsace-Lorraine area of France.
Okay.
According to Alsatian lore, Hans Trapp was a local man renowned for his greed and unscrupulousness.
Love that.
He used witchcraft and deals with the devil to become rich, like you do.
Like you do. Been there.
After being excommunicated from the Catholic Church, he lost his wealth and social standing. He took to roaming countryside disguised as a scarecrow, like one does. I mean, I know when I want to be disguised. Yeah.
I either look like I don't have a home, I either look like I'm very beautiful, or a scarecrow. Those are my options.
That's the two given. At some point, Hans Trapp became consumed with the idea of tasting human flesh.
Same.
He lured a shepherd boy to his death, then cooked him over a fire.
And that's where we get shepherd's pie.
Oh, ew. Before Hans Trapp could take his first bite, however, God finally, feeling that things had gone too far, struck him with lightning. That was where he went too far. The guy was dead.
Let me tell you
He was
something.
cooked on a spit, but him going to eat
Let me
it,
tell you something about God.
that is just wasteful.
God's an asshole. God, remember?
I mean, you've got all that meat.
Let me tell you something. Remember Job?
I do.
Your
I
cow.
do. Hans Trapp died, but he returned sometimes on Christmas to go door to door looking for young, tasty children.
He sounds just like a predator to me.
Now, I don't think I can say this one. I'm going to try.
Okay.
But the Kalakanzari,
It just says Michael.
Bob. The Kalakanzari from Greece, Bulgaria, Serbia, Turkey. The Kalakanzari are goblins who spend most of the year underground, trying to bring about the apocalypse.
Oh my...
Sure.
I love them.
Or they're you.
Or they're me, yeah.
During Advent, they come out onto human territory to cause mischief and evil.
I love it.
They're sometimes described as black furry creatures with tusks and horns.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the part where I was like, really? They are usually male and grotesquely well endowed.
Oh my god. Oh, the Greeks.
So they're furry, scary things with big
Peepees.
business.
Big business. Stupid.
And then the last terrifying one is Pierre Fautillard from France, Belgium, Switzerland. Or it's not Pierre, it's Perret. He was a butcher. He and his wife kidnapped, robbed, and killed wealthy children. You know, carved them up.
What's the problem?
Hid them in salting barrels.
You were killing wealthy people.
St. Nicholas discovered the crime and brought the children back to life.
What?
As a punishment, he forced Père Fautillard into bondage as his eternal cannibal manservant.
Oh my god, that is that
And so now he follows St. Nicholas around dealing with problem children.
crazy to me. I like that. I like that in this lore, Santa can just bring children back to life.
Well, Santa is magic.
Yeah, but why isn't Santa bringing more children back to
Well,
life?
my question is, God, why he stopped that one guy after he killed the shepherd and cooked him, but he stopped him short of eating him. He's like,
Yep.
now it's gone too far.
Listen, your intent
But
was
he just
there.
killed the guy but didn't bring
It was the
servant.
guy's child, though, remember? It was the shepherd's child that he killed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But still.
He's still dead.
I know.
He's
But
still
it was
dead.
fine
Roasted
because it was
on
a
a spit.
child. It was
There he's
fine.
roasting him on a spit. That's the sound of a spit turning.
I don't think that's accurate.
No?
To be honest.
You don't think
really
it clicks
say.
like that? No.
No, probably not.
Okay, well, what do I know? But I read that this where it was like, those are all really fucked up. The only one that I thought was equally fucked up is I was not on that list, was the other one we talked about was
Black Peter, essentially.
Black Peter or
What's his name?
Zwarte Piet.
Yeah, from the Netherlands. So it's just like Santa's slave, who's, just in case you're wondering, he's black. And here's a tradition that bothers the living shit out of me, that in the Netherlands, people, I don't know how often it happens now, but people, white people, obviously, would go out in blackface.
Oh, yeah, dressed up as Zwarte Piet.
Which I'm like, gross, you nasty
Yeah,
bitches.
apparently that is now frowned upon. But only in the last few years.
Yes, right, since everyone is woke now.
Well, and it's funny, I learned about him from one of my favorite comedians, Michelle Buteau.
Okay.
Because her husband is from the Netherlands.
Oh, right.
And he's white, obviously.
What else did
And
you
she was like, she went to the Netherlands with him to meet his family and was like, who does student blackface that is in this Christmas parade? Oh, that's just Zwarte Piet. No big deal. No big deal.
She's
He's
like-
Santa's slave. He's in chains. Was that bad? No? Okay.
I like it. It's painful to me that this has been a tradition in the Netherlands, and black folk have lived in the Netherlands this entire time, and people think this is regular. This is fine. Let's, as white people, go out in blackface.
Well, and it's like now they're like, well, now we're trying to hire black actors to play a slave for Christmas, Santa's slave. Of course, now they've cleaned things up, and they're like, well, he's Santa's helper. Well, then why is he in chains?
Tell me that.
Okay.
It's
And is he getting paid?
And how much
Is he getting equal wage?
He better
just
be.
wanna know.
I'm just curious.
Inquiring minds. I want to know.
Yeah, because I'm going to inquire about being black paid.
Right. How much do I get paid for this job?
Yeah.
No, because white woman.
Oh, so you
I
don't want to
play a young black man. I don't think I can pull it off.
Weird. White people can do anything, though.
Well, they think they can.
Anything you can do, white people can ruin.
Wait, is that how that song goes? Anything you can do, white people ruin.
It's accurate, though. It's more accurate.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to take tacos, and guess what we're going to do? Fuck it up.
That's a shame, too.
Okay, I know this is not a Christmas story, but I have a story about going to a friend's house for dinner when I was younger. I'm not going to say the friend's name, but her family were part indigenous, and then I don't know what her dad was, but I think Filipino. Anyway, her mom is making tacos, and I was like ground beef or whatever, right? And then it's all like, make it yourself, construct your own taco. And I'm putting this meat on the little taco, and I'm like, what is in it? And I start looking. Bitch put fucking full-ass raisins in her taco meat.
What?
And I said, ma'am,
Did you say she was indigenous?
Yeah, and I said, girl, why are we doing this? And then her little sister, my friend's little sister, was like, what is this? Pulling them out. And I said, they're dead flies. The little bitch threw them in the air and screamed. And I said, well, teach you to put fucking raisins in your goddamn taco meat.
What is it with people and raisins? Raisins only belong in oatmeal raisin cookies.
Hey, I know. And look, dried fruit is fine, but raisins and everything, I'm like, God, the caucasity of it all. Do you know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Your Caucasian is showing and it's
Are you trying to stretch the hamburger? Will you
know.
do that with other things, not raisins?
But
like
raisins?
put some oatmeal in it or something, because then that just takes the flavor of the meat, and it's not raisins.
I'm not mad about it. Yeah, raisins.
Yeah.
I just yeah.
I'm sorry, but oh god. So my daughter, earlier this year, a couple months ago, before the holidays went into full swing, I really want fruit cake this year, and I was like, nobody wants fruit cake.
Nobody asks for that, bitch.
Right, fruit cake is gross. I don't care. You know, and everyone's like, oh, everyone who likes fruitcake is like, oh, you just haven't had a good fruitcake. That's like the people who tell lesbians you haven't had the right man.
Yeah.
That's why you're a lesbian. Mm-hmm. You haven't had good fruitcake. Girl.
No such thing.
That's because it doesn't exist. Good fruitcake is an oxymoron. It's not a thing.
Yeah, it's wrong.
So, one day I was ordering up groceries, and I looked for fruitcake, and I thought, well, let's see if they can, like, have a mix or something, and I'll make her a fruitcake. Well, they didn't, but they had, like, this teeny little fruitcake. It was probably the size. I was like probably 2 inches wide and like 4 or 5 inches long. A little tiny, little brick of cheese fruitcake. And I was like, well, if it's terrible, it's only $4.
Yeah, no big deal.
I've paid more for things I've thrown away.
Yeah.
So whatever,
like exes,
because white people. Anyway, so I ordered the fruitcake. I bring it, and I'm just looking at it, going, ugh. Because it has those big chunks of that nasty candied fruit, which isn't even fruit. What the hell is that?
Candy.
I don't want candy in my bread.
Oh.
No. And so I sliced her off a chunk, and I thought, well, I cannot, in all good faith, go on about how I hate fruitcake without even trying it. So I cut myself a little.
But you've had fruitcake before.
Years ago when I was a child. Okay. But, tastes change.
Yes, ma'am.
Fruitcake could change. I had a bite of this fruitcake, and ooh, girl, I had to try everything and not to just spit it back out. Because I was like, this shit is nasty.
The texture, the flavor.
But it made me think, I want to try and make one, but not with that nasty candy fruit. I want to do it with, like, dried, it's just like raisins and craisins and, with shit like that. And make it, like, with, like, a rum cake.
That would be different, though. That's something different.
And then if you rehydrate all that fruit with rum before you bake it.
Oh, we're getting wasted.
Then you get drunk cake.
Can't wait. What is also that other shit they give out during Christmas? It comes in a box and it's like powdered sugar, little fruit bites.
Applets and cotlets.
Why is that a thing?
Gross. Yeah. They're disgusting. I don't know. Because I remember the first time somebody...
Gross!
The first time somebody was like, oh, try this. It looked like sugary goodness. I'm all
and it's gummy and
yeah, they're disgusting.
¿Por qué? Yeah,
it's like I think they're the gross candy that goes inside the fruitcake that someone just threw powdered sugar on. They're disgusting.
Oh my God. You're right,
but they're like
you ain't wrong.
Dried or dehydrated apples and apricots, I believe.
Okay,
and then candied and then sugared. And
they're so gross. I know. I don't get it.
They're disgusting.
I don't get it.
I know. It's funny because there's very few Christmas foods that I am opposed to. That is one.
Yeah.
Oh, that fruitcake, get them out of here.
I'm trying to think of other actual traditional Christmassy kind of holiday foods, but I don't really know. Like pecan pie, but isn't that also like Thanksgiving?
Pecan pie is just fall.
Fall.
Fall, winter.
I used to hate it because I was not a big fan of nuts when I was younger, but the older I get, the more I like it. And I can eat nuts now.
I'm sorry, my mind just went right into the gutter. I wasn't a big fan of nuts. Now I am.
I used to say something very inappropriate because I used to say, I don't really like nuts unless they're attached to a man.
What? I'm so shocked at that statement.
I am so sorry for everyone listening, but I used to be real funny.
Used to be. She dry and old now.
Boring.
Nobody likes her.
I'm an adult.
Or her life.
I'm just gonna lay down and die.
You are.
I know, but
Right.
as like 18 years old, like what the fuck was I thinking? Just saying that, thinking that was
'Cause it's
appropriate.
funny.
Because it is funny. I know. I know.
And accurate.
Accurate.
So,
Uh-huh.
you know.
But now I've broadened my tastes.
I'm not even going to go there.
You
But-
shouldn't.
Well, pecan pie, I didn't ever like, only because I don't like walnuts, I don't like pecans, and they taste very similar to me. I don't like a lot of different, those kind of nuts. And then when I tasted candied, or pralines,
Pralines?
praline,
I like praline better.
pralines, because all a praline is a candied pecan.
Oh, really?
That's all it is. It's a pecan that has been candied.
Shut the hell up. I
So,
didn't know.
yeah. And so it's now been cooked probably in brown sugar and some booze. Mm-hmm. And it does not suck. And so when we were getting our kitchen remodeled, I was like, now if I'm going to have this fancy new kitchen, I better learn how to do some stuff.
Yeah.
Other than serving my family shit out of a box or whatever. I know how to cook.
Right.
But basic. And so I was like, I'm going to make a pecan pie. Well, the first attempt went in the garbage.
Love it.
Because you have to be super careful when you're making the jelly kind of stuff that holds all the pie together.
Yummy.
Because you're boiling the stuff and then adding eggs to it, and if you're not careful, you get scrambled eggs, and then it's gross.
Ew.
So then you have to chuck it.
Weird.
So what I figured out all just on my own was to take that boiling pan off the stove, let it cool down a little bit,
Yeah.
and then add the eggs because then they don't cook.
Okay.
And then, get it all mixed up and you do the thing, whatever. And then I was like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, what? Where?
Delightful.
However, some of the recipes, they have you make that kind of jelly thing, the scent, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then just put the pecans on top.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I want that pie crust full to the brim with pecans and then just pour the jellied stuff over it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because that way you're getting a pecan in every single bite.
Yeah.
And it's delish.
Yeah.
And of course, it's also added 10,000 calories and a lot of fat to
Quack,
the pie,
quack.
but who cares? It's pie.
Quack, quack, yeah.
So if you're eating pie and you're worried about health food, then don't eat pie.
Girl, don't eat pie. Right,
Because,
exactly.
Bitch, get in the kitchen and make me some pie.
Bitch. I love pie so much. Pie is my Jiminy Jam, girl, as you know. But you know what? There are pies like pumpkin pie, which I know is also like fall. Pumpkin has to be right for me because pumpkin spice everything makes me kind of want to projectile vomit.
Right,
You
but
know?
pumpkin pie for me has to be equal parts pumpkin pie and whipped cream.
It has to be 1/3 pumpkin and 2/3 whipped cream.
Right?
We're-
It's like, if I can see the orange, it's too much.
Nope, it's too much pumpkin.
In fact,
like
I
that.
would be fine if it was crust.
Yeah.
A very thin layer of pumpkin,
Yes.
and then a filled up pie of whipped cream.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I think that if you here's how I'll eat pumpkin almost any time. If you add pumpkin and cream cheese together. But
Oh,
if you could
yeah.
add cream cheese to anything and I'd eat
Pumpkin cheesecake, yes.
it by the gallons.
And then cheesecake, I will say this though, I don't like fruit on top of my cheesecake. I like New York style cheesecake, so it's just the cheesecake.
Yeah.
No added stuff on top of it.
Sure.
But pumpkin cheesecake,
Girl, listen.
Yes.
Yes, I like plain cheesecake as well. But you give me cheesecake with strawberries gooing on top of it, ooh, about it. Cherries on top of it, about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
Cheesecake.
I want to tell you a story.
Okay. I'm
As
ready.
anybody who knows me, even a teeny bit knows, not an outdoorsy kind of girl.
Huh.
One Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm going to go out to a Christmas tree farm. Because one of my friends was like, we're going to this cool Christmas tree farm. You guys should go. And I was like, okay, why not? Because I didn't have a Christmas tree then.
Sure.
I mean, because now I have an artificial one. But I was like, okay. So I went out to this Christmas tree farm. It wasn't far from where we lived. And went with my very useless boyfriend. And
Wait, which
it wa-
boyfriend?
Eeyore.
Ew.
I know. Well, it was one of those farms where you could either cut it down yourself,
Right. Yeah, LOL.
or you pay them a couple bucks extra and they cut it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to go for that option.
Right.
They pay them a couple bucks extra. They cut it down. Now, I have since learned that a good tree farm, they will also shake your tree out really well to get rid of the bugs.
Ew.
And because it's a tree. It's
Right,
outside.
exactly. It's outside.
Bugs and squirrels and shit live in the trees. So,
You bring them a whole ass squirrel. Anyway.
but they did not shake it out. They did not tie it up. They didn't do anything. They put it on the roof of my car, and we're like, I hope you brought ropes. And so, but this tree was not even as tall as me.
Yeah.
And I'm 5'8", and I was like, 5 foot tree, little apartment. That's fine.
Perf.
It's good.
Perf.
Well, I didn't look at the trunk of the tree. It was fucking huge. I was like, how does this itty bitty tree have a trunk that's, 3 feet across or what? It was not really that big, but it was huge.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how the hell am I going to fit this in my little Christmas tree stand holder? Whatever. And I'm like, I have knives and I can whittle it down like I'm in the Ozarks. I'm sitting like trying to cut worthless, completely worthless. And I went to see if my upstairs neighbors were home, and they were not. And I said to my then worthless boyfriend, I said, God damn it, if the girls upstairs were home, I know they would have tools to deal with it. And he's like, why do you assume they would have tools? I go, they're lesbians. Of course they would have tools.
Yeah.
Duh.
I also know them.
Yeah, and I do know them. But it was like, do you know anything about anything, dude? God almighty. So it literally was me whittling down a tree like some hillbilly in the Ozarks.
Hey, Pa!
But here's the best part of that story. Well, actually, all of that story is best. So I finally got it whittled down enough to fit it in the tree stand. And by this point, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck this, I'll decorate it in the morning. I stick my angel Barbie on the top of the tree and go to bed.
Yeah.
The next morning I get up, Barbie is completely encased in spider webs, as is my entire fucking tree. Oh. And I'm like, I now have to move.
Yep, burn it down.
I have to burn it down.
Sorry, Barbie, you have to be burned too.
I wanted to take the tree and chuck the entire thing out in the front yard, Barbie and all.
Yeah.
I did not, because it was Barbie.
You couldn't leave Barbie.
I couldn't leave Barbie to be eaten by the spiders.
No.
But it was like, spiders, no.
So what did you do?
No. I got my little vacuum and sucked the spider webs off my tree.
I love that. Okay.
But I don't know if I got any spiders, but they didn't do it again, so
they learned they lesson.
They were all, that fat bitch mean.
Yeah, she sucked up Grandma.
We worked all night making a home.
And during the holidays, in this economy.
I know, it was terrible.
How dare you?
So my other funny Christmas tree specific story
is
when I was with my first husband.
Right.
And we lived in a trailer in Gladstone.
Okay, yeah.
Because trash.
Yeah.
We were trash.
I remember this briefly.
Right. Well, one of my friends, I was all sad and mad because I couldn't afford a Christmas tree.
Right.
And my friend was like, oh, I have an extra artificial tree.
Yeah.
It's just been sitting in a box in my garage. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
Sure.
I mean, it was your basic model.
That's fine.
Probably Kmart tree. Cost $1.99. I don't know. I get it home. I put it together. And, well, it was a little weird because the whole top section of it wanted to lean forward.
Yeah.
And nothing, I was like, I'm trying to, kind of shim it up, do something.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
Finally, she gets the bright idea. And I hang a wrench on the back of the tree to counterweight it.
You trash asshole.
I got the biggest wrench I could find. Because, what the hell do I have wrenches for? I'm going to do plumbing.
Yeah. Oh.
So I found a big wrench in the drawer.
Am I, a plumbist?
I think it might have been left there by the last owners. I don't know. But I tied a string through it, a Christmas ornament, hung it on the back of the tree. It worked, girl.
The
tree stood up.
Tree stood right up.
That is called ingenuity.
Oh, uh-huh.
It's called adapt and overcome. It's also called poor white trash.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
poor white trash story isn't the Great Christmas Mouse Hunt. Yeah, that is.
Oh,
we haven't told that.
That is the
and
white trash story.
Here's what I'm going to say. Here is my little exclamation before this. This story, as an adult, I think is hysterical.
Right.
As a youth, this is my trauma. I need you all to be very well aware of this. Is discussing this kind of situation is the epitome of my sperm donor and just what a shitty fucking human he was. And as a youth, I was delicate. You know what I mean? So not only the whole what happens in the story is embarrassing, but also I used to be like, oh, that was a traumatic event,
That happened and I was there.
Yep. Yeah. So, by all means.
Oh, okay.
Bitch, so, I'm not telling the story with you here. You used to tell this on a microphone.
So, I went to visit my darling Annika.
That's me.
And how old do you think you were? 10-ish?
Maybe. 9, 10. Yeah.
And she still lived out in Yamhill County.
Yep.
And So her sperm donor and his 16th wife, not really the best housekeepers.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. That is like watching an episode of Hoarders saying they need to dust.
Yep. Girl.
So anyway, I go over and I'm visiting, and mostly I don't care about visiting with my sibling at all. I really am there to visit with the children, and mostly Annika.
Right.
And so, I mean, I love the other children, but Annika and I, we have bonds.
Yeah, so I know that.
And so, we're chitty-chatting and whatever, and my brother is sitting in the Barca Lounger watching the football game.
Broke-ass Barca Lounger, girl. I hardly ever
Or
worked.
it certainly wasn't, a fancy Barca Lounger.
It didn't rock back and forth. It was just diagonal.
But he's sitting there watching the game and whatever, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he goes, "Ashley, bring me my gun." And I was like, what the fuck is... What, did I say something? Are you going to shoot me? What's happening?
Yeah.
And Ashley's like, get your own gun. I'm not getting your gun.
Yeah.
And so he gets up out his Barca Lounger.
And mind you, he's wearing Wranglers. He's shirtless. His, hairy beer belly. He's all fucking furrowed brow and angry.
So he gets up. He gets his gun. Sits his ass back in his Barca Lounger.
Yep.
Aims it across the room and shoots at something in the dining room.
Yeah.
And I'm all, what the fuck is actually happening? And then he goes, Ashley, go over and check and see if that mouse is dead. And Ashley's like, no!
Oh, yeah.
You go see it. I'm not going anywhere near that. So he gets up out of his Barca Lounger with his gun, walks over to the wall in the dining room and looks down on the floor, and clearly, mouse not dead,
Yep.
has been hit.
Yep.
So I'm going to say he did at least hit it.
Congratulations.
But mouse not dead.
No.
And he stands there at point blank range and shoots it again.
Yep.
Now, I mean, he could have just picked it up and thrown it outside, put it in the garbage, stepped on it, something. No.
No.
He stood there with the gun an inch and a half from this little mouse and shot it again.
Yep.
Did he then clean it up? No. He left it there and went back to his Barca Lounger, gun still in hand, with it laid down across his lap like we're at Ma and Pa Kettle's house.
He
and I'm
proud.
all, baby girl, I love you, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
That
Ooh.
is too much for my tender nature. I got to go. I hate to leave you here because you could be next, but
yes, girl.
Jesus Christ. I'm like, what kind of hillbilly trash am I related to?
I know, that was crazy. Sitting in your lean back ridge in your Barca Lounger, fucking shooting a mouse across the house with 3 children, you, whoever you were with,
Right.
and my stepmother. The house wasn't just him, but also, why are you doing that? Why are you shooting a gun in the house? Yeah, welcome to the country.
Well, and then, of course, there was you lovingly decided to call the Glug Glug Bang Bang Christmas.
Yes, that Christmas was a nightmare. So you weren't there. We were up at your youngest brother's house, and he's great. We're up there. It's middle of nowhere, but there's a gravel road, and then their driveway is a gravel road getting to their house. And anyone who had a gun brought their gun for whatever reason. And I'm probably 15, maybe 16 years old.
Yeah, right now.
So I'm an angsty fucking teenager. And I'm sitting inside, and they have a beautiful house, and it's kind of looks like a cabin, whatever. And I'm sitting there, and I can see out the sliding door that lined up are uncles and cousins and aunts, and everybody is wasted. Everybody has been drinking all day. They're all out there with their mixed drinks and their beer and what the fuck ever, and all of them have a gun. And all of them are pointed towards the sky, over the fucking road, just shooting away, having a good time. Look
What
at
the
this.
fuck were they shooting?
Girl, nothing. They were just shooting guns. They were in I get people like shooting.
I don't need a gun rack. I don't have a gun.
Girl. But I get people like shooting. I mean, I've been shooting, again, growing up in the country, but shooting at you're shooting at a milk jug, right? Fine. Do your thing. Having a target, but you're just shooting to shoot, and everyone's obliterated, and I remember being I fucking hate this family, and I fucking hate it here. I was...
I remember because when you called me later, you're like, girl. Oh my god. They're all drunk. They all had guns. I'm amazed we made it out alive.
Yeah, and I think Duck Dynasty is really white trash, right? But, we made Duck Dynasty look high class, bitch. That is the epitome of Oogie Boogie gross. I hated it.
Oh, yeah.
I was
That's
out.
pretty bad.
Yeah, it was not the tea for me, girl.
No.
Not there,
No. That sounds terrible. And darn, I'm so sad I missed it.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah, growing up, okay. I was going to say, but growing up with those people, that doesn't surprise me. But I'm going to share one of the fun little Christmas things we did. So, before my mother moved in here 11 years ago, she lived in a little teeny tiny, and I mean teeny tiny, her whole house was maybe 1,000 square feet. Perhaps.
Yeah.
And that's living room, dining room, 2 bedrooms. Well, one of the bedrooms was an office.
Yeah. Bathroom.
Whatever. And there was an upstairs, but nobody ever went up there because the stairway was practically straight up and down.
When I lived with Grammy, though, that became my bedroom.
Yeah, so you had to slide down the stairs.
Yeah, girl, I just jumped from the top to the bottom.
Right. But we would get together there for Christmas, and the whole family, all 457 of us, would all get together in that little teeny tiny house and exchange gifts and whatever. And actually, I'm going to tell a couple different stories. But my favorite one was one Christmas, we all got together, and we wouldn't always get together on Christmas Day. Sometimes it was because everybody had families and stuff, and they would go to their own families or their in-laws or whoever. So it's not actual Christmas Day, but we're doing the Christmas thing. And I took the kids that were all either preteen or teen into town, went, and we all bought cans of Silly String, and went back to the house. We all found a spot, and again, the house is teeny tiny.
Yeah, it's not very big.
We each found a spot in a different room in a different place, so that every ounce of that house was covered.
Yeah.
And then yelled fire.
Yeah.
And we shot every bit of that house with Silly String.
All the people,
yep. All the space, not the food, of course.
No.
We're good people.
Protected.
We don't want to ruin dinner.
Yeah.
And we were hungry.
Yeah.
But
we like food.
But it was hilarious because nobody saw it coming.
No.
And we had so much fun with that. Except for Tracy's boyfriend, who freaked out because we ruined his fancy shirt with our Silly String.
Oh, no.
Oh, shut up.
Shut up. He was the worst,
Douche.
Such
Such a douchebag.
Wasn't he, though? Yeah.
So, a couple Christmases later, or maybe it was just the next year. I don't know. It was around this similar time. Because we are such a big family, we were exchanging gifts, and we were doing a draw names kind of situation. Well, my family is not great if you don't give them specifics. They will buy you, especially if it was your stepmother, they'll go to the drugstore and buy you some garbage and be like, well, this was on sale. Here's this $10 stinky perfume. There's whatever. So I said, why doesn't everybody just write 2 or 3 things that you want? And then as they were handing their names back to me to throw into the hat, I'm reading them to make sure they're clear. Like, my nephew, who I adore, wrote sweatshirt. We might need a little more direction, like size.
Size. Color,
a hood.
Yeah.
You know what? What do you want? And my sister-in-law thought it was very funny that I was reading them all out loud. And so on hers, to be funny.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to somehow read hers and not know what I'm reading until I'm done reading it.
Right, because you're new at reading. Just because all those other fucking hillbillies don't know how to read.
All right. On her list was a big black dildo. And I read it out loud, and I was like, well, apparently Leanne, for Christmas, would like a big black dildo, so whoever draws her name, good luck with that. Whatever. And she was like, you were just supposed to read that out loud and get embarrassed. Bitch, me?
Me? Do you know what I do for a living?
Right? I'm sorry, but sex talk doesn't embarrass me.
No, we're very sex positive.
Yeah. So, I knew who got her name, and I knew that, of course, wasn't going to be something they would get her, because whatever. So, I went to Fantasy bookstore, little, sex shop, and bought the biggest dildo I could find, that I could afford, because it's going to be a joke gift, and I don't want it to be, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And I bought, it was pretty big, it was at least a foot long, it was big.
No, it's
and got a box that, frankly, it looked like a rifle box.
Yeah.
And then I taped it with 1,000 pieces of tape at the bottom of the box so it wouldn't shake or move, and it wouldn't slide around, nothing. Wrapped it up, put it under the tree, didn't say who it was from, just wrote, to Leanne. So we also opened, and when we still all got together, opened all the gifts one at a time so everybody saw what everybody else got.
Hey, I hate that. It drives me insane.
You'll have to, because after this you got to tell us your anxiety story about gift
well.
giving. Anyway, so everybody's opening their gifts, and they hand her gift, and she's like, oh, I have an extra gift. And so this is we got together at Thanksgiving and did the name drawing. Mm-hmm. So this is a month later. She's probably forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
She opens up this box, and for the world to see is a very large black dildo.
Yep.
And 2 things were said that I about died. Because your cousin, who is your age, looks at her and says, "You're not going to use that, are you?" And your cousin Christopher looks at her husband and said, "Well, I guess she doesn't need you anymore."
Oh my god, that's
All
so funny.
worth it. And she was bright red.
Mortified.
It was fantastic.
That is a really good memory too. Merry Christmas. Okay, so I have anxiety. The end.
That was a good story.
Thank you. My anxiety started real young. But I do have anxiety over gifts. Not giving gifts because I'm cool and I know what people like, and I pay attention. But I have anxiety over people giving me things. And especially if they give me something and want me to open it in front of them.
Yes.
Don't like it. There are exceptions. People in this family, for the most part, sometimes maybe not not my grandmother, but everyone who gives a gift knows me, and so it's not so anxiety-inducing. As a child, almost every Christmas that I had with my sperm donor and my stepmother was literally filled to the brim with anxiety. And I could tell a plethora of stories, but there's one specifically that this is iconic and horrifying to me. I was, again, young. 10, 11. But the 4th Harry Potter book, I really wanted that one. That was the one I didn't own yet. And so that was on my Christmas list. Well, they were opening presents, and with like the little family with just my dad, my stepmom, my 2 sisters, and myself, it was 1 by 1, right? We all one by one. And I was like, fine. So I'm opening something, and I know it's a book, right? And so again, I want the 4th Harry Potter, and I open it, and I'm looking at this book, and I'm like, oh my god, what? And my sister leans over and she says, "That's not the right book, is it?" And I said, "Shut the fuck up." And so I'm looking at this book and I'm like, "Thank you so much. Of course, this is what I want." And it's literally the 4th book in the Unfortunate series, what's his name?
Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, it's the 4th book in that series. And the kid, to be fair, there's a kid, dark hair, glasses on the front of it. And it says number 4. So this is what happened, is they just saw that.
To be fair, it says number 4.
I know, and there was a boy on it. And so I just had to play the, oh my god, thank you so much.
I love this.
I love it. Like the 4th one in the middle of a series I've never read. And they were like, "That's right." And I said, Like, I'm not gonna, because here's the other thing, is if I had said no or had a real reaction or been like, this isn't right, I would have gotten in trouble.
Yes.
And big trouble. And so it was easier for me to just bite the bullet. But every year, I mean, that happened every year. One year, they, were so poor. They were such poor people that they went and got money or got gifts from the fire department. Yeah? I've told you this before.
Yes.
And then they gave us all just the same shit. They gave us each, 3 sets of dominoes and, a tic-tac-toe set and shit. And again, I just remember being like, what? You gave all of us the same fucking thing. 3 preteens
for the 3 kids who live in the same house, you had 1 domino set and 1 tic-tac-toe.
And then,
so you could,
and part of me feels because I am such a guilt-ridden person, oh, you're just complaining you got a gift. But no, it's so stupid. I would much rather you get me nothing than force something and have it be stupid. But those people are who gave me straight anxiety over presents.
So my ability to fake liking a present was pretty well destroyed by my first husband. Because every year we would make lists for each other of what we wanted for Christmas. And we were pretty without funds at that time. So it was, it took some thinking. It was well, what can we do? What can we afford? And so every year I would make him a very extensive list so that I would get hopefully something on the list, but I wouldn't know which thing I would get because I would put 30 things on the list and he would pick 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Right? But he would pick 1 or 2 things that were inspired by the list. I specifically said one year, I want the Shel Silverstein book Where the Sidewalk Ends. Because love Shel Silverstein. Love his writing. Love his poetry. Whatever. And I wanted that book. Well, I got a book. It was the autobiography of Ronnie Spector. And I was like, well, he's like, well, you said you wanted a book. Yes, a specific book.
No, this one is great.
We picked out rings, and I was like, I want this ring. And it was it was so easy. It was just a plain band.
Specific ring.
I went, I showed him, I took him to the store, I said, this is the ring I picked out, this is the size, this is everything.
Yep.
Girl, on Christmas morning, I opened this box, and it's a ring box. I'm like, oh, cool. It'll be the ring I asked for. Girl, no, it was this hideous Black Hills gold mess. I'm sorry, I hate Black Hills gold. It's just, to me, it looks trashy. And I was like, what? And then there was like big chips of diamonds, and because it wasn't no diamonds. And I was like, and it was also tiny.
Yeah.
It didn't fit my fat finger. And I was like, I even told you what my ring. And so I opened that and I go, what is this? Because I had it.
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
You know what I had? It. I
the
opened
thing.
it up and I go, what is this? And he goes, well, you said you wanted a ring. I go, I showed you what ring I want. I took you to this. This started such a fight.
My bad.
Because I said, I took you to the store. I pointed you to the exact ring I want. And he goes, well, that one was so plain. But that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I don't want this gaudy piece of shit. I won't wear this. And I was not nice about it. And I'm, sorry to say that gratitude was not the attitude that day. Because I was like, motherfucker, if you ask me for a list, if you ask me for the... Please get me something on the list.
Yeah, that's
I mean, we lived in the tiniest little dinky, trashy trailer, and he bought me one year a statue that goes in a rich people's house. It was beautiful, but I'm like, where the fuck am I going to put this? Next to the turlet? Because it was huge.
I'm dying.
Well...
Wait, he bought you a statue?
And I was like, what the fuck? What am I going to do with this? And I looked at him and I said, what the actual fuck am I going to do with this?
You lived in a trailer and he bought you a statue.
I know. I could see it in some house where there was like grand staircases and, a solarium.
What was the statue of?
It was some beautiful, like, kind of woman that looked rather deco. Lovely. But in a trailer, bitch, please.
Girl.
Yeah, I know.
I'm with you. That's hysterical.
Well, now that I have broken Annika.
Oh my god, that was so funny. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I can't believe I didn't know that story about he bought you a statue.
And she was like 3 feet tall. This is a big ass statue. I'm like, what the?
Here, girl, where's she gonna go? Whatever.
Oh, yikes.
Lucky you.
Listen. So I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate.
Yes.
And I hope that you get to spend time with the people that make you happy.
Or don't.
That's why I'm saying just the people that make you happy.
Yeah. And
not necessarily your family or whoever you call family.
You know what? And here's another thing about the holidays. You don't have to buy anything for anybody you don't want to buy them for.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, that's just exactly it. I've taken to being like, I only buy for my immediate family and people like children that I really care for that are, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not buying for anybody else anymore because I just don't have that kind of money, but I also... It's like...
Here's my PSA.
Most of the people I know, if they want something, they already bought it for themselves.
Well, and also here's the thing is, that's what I was just talking to one of my friends about. I know this is the end of our podcast, but if you want to buy something for somebody, then do it anytime, right? Like, I think that birthdays specifically and Christmas specifically, when people... It's an expectation, so I don't think it's as... You know what I mean? The thought isn't as there. It's kind of a forced thought. It's a forced idea. But yeah. Anyway, that's it. So don't buy shit you don't want to buy. Buy it for yourself.
Right. And don't spend time with people that don't make you happy.
Girl.
That's as simple as that.
Hell
if people make you unhappy, don't do it.
Nope.
And on that note, we're going to head on out of here. We'll be back next week for another episode of It Would Seem As Though. And if you want to send us any kind of notes, love notes, hate notes, or just greetings of the season.
Yes, girl.
It would seem as though at gmail.com. But we are here every Wednesday, and we will see you. We will not see you.
I don't
we will
do
never
that.
see you. I say that every week,
Don't
but we will
perceive
not.
me.
We will be back next week. So we hope that you will be joining us.
Have a merry, happy Christmas holiday.
All of those things.
Okay, bye.
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 It would seem as though.